The Oxen and the Axle Trees. A heavy wagon was being dragged along a country lane by a team of oxen. The axle trees groaned and creaked terribly, whereupon the oxen, turning round, thus addressed the wheels: "Hullo there! Why do you make so much noise? We bear all the labor, and we, not you, ought to cry out. Those who suffer most cry out the least." So, a bunch of oxen, a group, dragging along the wagon. The axle trees, very, very loud. They groan and creak terribly. And the oxen talk to the wheels. Remember, there's a lot of personification in Aesop's fables. Um, Hello there. Why are you making so much noise? We're the ones doing all the work, and we, not you, ought to cry out. Those who suffer most cry out the least. So kind of funny. Um, I don't know if it's necessarily, if you can, I don't know if you can necessarily connect it directly to some readily accessible human being sort of situation. Uh, we bear all the labor, and we, not you, ought to cry out. I mean, I guess it has to do with a lot of people who are stoics. I got a roommate, buddy of mine who he he's in the military, and he's real chill, and but he's always smiling, always always ready for a joke, and he's the most laid back, funny, you know person I've met, like kind-hearted, good person I've met. He's not real talkative as far as like asking you all kinds of personal questions, but probably because that culture, being in the military. I think he did like 3 tours. Maybe he learned over time, that some people get real sensitive if you ask them questions, and so I really like, and he's pretty young. He's like 28. He works really hard, and he works random hours in the night. He works at the airport, and he sort of handles all the FedEx and the yeah. He's responsible for all these contractors that work for this company, this contracted company at the airport, to make sure that the packages are safe, and they come back and they get on planes safely and stuff. It's kind of dangerous because another buddy of mine went to work there, and he got scared, and he just like he ran out of there after like a week. Um, but I guess to connect that story with this story, it's the fact that you know he risks his life, and he's got a lot of. And I also know other military guys who they've seen a lot, but they don't talk about it. They don't they don't like share a lot of those stories. I mean, maybe if you get them, drunk or whatnot, maybe. But even then, I think it's sort of an unspoken, or I don't know. I just they it's an unspoken thing where they just know we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about what we've seen, what how much blood is on our hands, how much bloodshed we've seen in our company. Um, so yeah, I mean that's something that I think I could connect with readily in terms of humanity. Is soldiers. We bear all the labor, and we, not you, ought to cry out. It's like they've seen so much darkness, and not to like you know um like like worship a certain group of people. I don't believe in that. Fill in the blank, right? Whatever group of people, because people are individuals, right? But I think that that's the easiest way for me to connect with this story is, the military. They do a lot of work. They're out there in the elements, and it's tough. It's physically exhausting. I'm sure mentally and emotionally exhausting. I'm sure it's emotionally exhausting with, especially if you see a lot of things up close, in terms of battle and blood and whatnot. Um, but I don't know very many of them who talk a lot about it. You know, um, that doesn't mean that they don't have PTSD, or that there aren't some who come back and have major problems and have a hard time readjusting to civilian society. But I think that this connects with that, and that sort of story. I think will allow me to connect and remember this story and sort of what the theme is and whatnot. But yeah, we bear all the labor, and we, not you, ought to cry out. Um, in terms of just slight annoyances. Um, and a lot of times, if if someone's upset, around the house, and Mike's just out. His name's Mike. Obviously, he smokes cigarettes, and he's out, in the front smoking cigarettes. You know, he doesn't say, "Oh well, I had it rough." He doesn't compare. He doesn't. He's not complaining. He'll validate what you're saying, or he'll at least acknowledge, or he'll quietly smile and show his support. Um, but he's probably, he might be thinking that, like, I have to cry out. I went to war for 12 years and da da da. Um, and fought for your ability to complain about this trite topic, or this topic that's not even that big of a deal. Um, but yeah, I think that's the best way I would relate this. Um, yeah, the oxen and the axle trees, those who suffer most cry out the least. Aesop's Fables. Thank you very much.